What's going on? This is Joshua Williams, life coach in Atlanta. So I wanted to actually get on here right quick and talk about finding forgiveness. So a lot of times when people talk about forgiveness and actually finding forgiveness for someone else, it's very difficult. Especially when you talk about like forgiveness in itself. The biggest thing is actually just understanding what forgiveness is and then how to like achieve it for someone or some situation that has affected you in your life. So the biggest, I guess, obstacle to actually achieving like that true forgiveness is sometimes as individuals, sometimes we don't understand what forgiveness is and what it means to truly forgive someone. And the process of forgiving someone is a very lengthy process. Like it's not a process that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that, you can wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, I'm cured. It's not how that works. Like it's completely not how that works. So with forgiveness though is that with that process, it's going to be a daily, weekly, monthly thing until you can finally get to the point where you can totally just say that you're completely over what actually happened, what situation, what action actually happened that you have to forgive for. And with that, understanding what forgiveness is the biggest thing. So when we talk about forgiveness, forgiveness is not really based on the particular action of the person. Like it's not really truly based on that, but it's based morally solely on that on your attitude to a certain extent about forgiveness. Because you have to understand that forgiveness is a process and it's something that you're gonna have to work through on a daily basis and pretty much through like affirmations. And then the first step is just gonna be just giving yourself that permission to say that what happened it was something that was out of your control. Like you have to, especially if this was an action or instance that was done towards you, um, then if it was done towards you in a particular instance, then sometimes or most times those actions aren't in your control just to say that you could have just not been in that situation to a certain extent. Because sometimes in life there's those things that just are completely out of your control. And if that is the situation, you have to give yourself permission to say that it's time for you to kind of let go and it's time for you to just forgive. So if this is an actual person that you have to forgive, people always want to say that time heals all or time can cure all, and that's true. Like that is a definite true statement that time and distance can cure that whole idea of that action that happened, but it's not a sure thing. Like it's not. Because a person can necessarily say that they forgive. They can say that they forgive, but they're not gonna forget, and that's true. Like a person's not gonna forget the action that actually happened to them. Like they'll forgive the action of the person, but they're not gonna forget that it actually happened. And then sometimes with not forgetting that actually happened, then you have those residual like thoughts and images and feelings that may be triggered if something similar happens to you in your current life or in what your daily life is now. And sometimes with those triggers, sometimes those triggers trigger you in a very negative way. Sometimes those triggers cause you to lash out. Sometimes those triggers cause you to be angry, emotional, or any other or any other adverse action that could happen because you're still hurt or you're still feeling a certain kind of way about that particular action, that particular situation that you have not yet moved past. And that's causing you to kind of act differently. But what you have to remember though is when you act that way or act differently like that, is that truly who you want to be? Like, is that truly who you want to portray yourself as? And that's something that you have to ask yourself. Because, like I said, with that, the whole process of forgiveness, like I said, is a daily, weekly, monthly process. And a lot of times that process is very, very difficult, like it is, especially depending on what action or occurrence it was that you have to forgive someone for. Like, you have to understand what that action, you have to understand what exactly do you have to let go of. Like, what exactly are you trying to, like, move past? Because once you figure out what exactly you're trying to move past, it's kind of easier for you to kind of set your mind to that particular thought or idea to start working on moving past that. You have to make sure that you're ready to move past that as well. Because sometimes people like to forgive too quickly. Like, they want to, like, try not to think about something or try to just, like, compartmentalize it, I guess, to just put it deep down inside of you to so that you don't have to think about it. But what you don't realize is sometimes putting it down that deep, you're still it's still there. Like, it's not going anywhere. And what you don't realize too is, again, those triggers. Like, something might happen in your day that triggers that idea or that thought, and that thought could make you like react like badly, and you don't want that. So dealing with the things that you have to forgive someone for head on is probably going to be your best bet. But you do have to realize though is that you have to be ready to start taking those steps, like those steps towards forgiveness daily. And with those steps, you're gonna have to make sure that one, you're ready to start taking steps. Like, you're ready to really just start moving past that. And two, you're going to really understand what the action was, or what was it, or what is it that you need to forgive someone for. And then you really have to then start, like, one, giving, if this action was something that was done towards you, hopefully there's not any like self blame for that. But if it is, you have to make sure that you tell yourself that this action, this situation, it just wasn't your fault. It was out of your control. Like, you have to physically tell yourself that. Because sometimes, again, sometimes individuals, sometimes people like to blame themselves for certain things, like blame themselves for stuff that was pretty much out of their control, and that's not, like, if it wasn't in your control, it's not your fault. Like, you can only take accountability for the things that you did personally. Like, you can take accountability for stuff that you did personally, but if it was something that was done towards you that you didn't have control over, how can you really take like ownership of that? So that's something that you have to really consider as well. And then after you've done that, especially when it comes to like forgiveness, you have to start like really daily affirmations, like daily saying that, hey, it's okay for me to let this go. Hey, it's okay. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be okay. Like, daily, you have to make sure that you're working towards moving past whatever that issue, whatever that situation, that occurrence was, because sometimes whenever you're trying to forgive or move past something, it's easy for your mind to kind of play tricks on you and pull you back into that negative space. And sometimes you don't want to operate, or you pretty much you don't want to operate in that negative space. Like, you don't. Like, you want to operate in a more positive space. So when it comes to like really truly trying to forgive someone, it is truly going to be dependent upon your attitude and not the other person's actions. Like, it is like your attitude towards wanting to forgive and let go of certain things. Because if you want to really achieve that whole principle of true happiness within self, then obviously you know that some of the stuff that you're holding on to has to be let go of. Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to achieve that idea of true, like that inner happiness to a certain extent. Because when you hold on to so much stuff from the past, and when you hold on to so much stuff that it's like it's emotionally weighing you down to a certain extent, it's hard to like pour happiness into your own life and pour happiness into yourself when you still holding on to past negativity and past stuff that was not like resolved. So to summarize this, it's important for forgiveness, in the process of forgiveness, those steps to be taken daily, and daily, weekly, monthly, worked on every day, and really just be in a place of forgiveness and ready to start forgiving. And once you start really getting into that point of wanting to forgive someone, try to really stay that course, because it's easy to get pulled back into like the negative side, the negativity of it, because of the pain, the resentment, the emotions. And sometimes that's not the person that you want to be. It's really not. So you have to take steps towards forgiveness and really wanting to start really moving past this stuff for yourself and for your future. Because if you are able to really just give yourself that permission to say that I'm ready to let go and start taking steps to really just start letting it go, you're going to be so much happier. You're going to be so much better. So, again, my name is Joshua Williams, a life coach in Atlanta. If you like this, share it, comment. Make sure that, if somebody needs this message, make sure that they get this message about forgiveness. And I'll see y'all next time.